Another episode of Beyond the Present podcast. I'm Daniel Muggen, and today we're talking about how to move away from reactiveness to becoming the master of your destiny and to predict the future. That's right. You see what they say. The amateurs in life react to things while the masters predict things. And today I want to help you understand how to shift your mindset away from that amateur approach of just going through life passively and reacting to things as they happen and they come along, and moving towards that mindset where you have a foresight, where you look at the future, predict it, and start taking action today according to that vision to make sure you get more of the things that you want and fewer of the things that you don't want. And that's exactly what today's discussion is all about, focusing on how to acquire that mindset where you are no longer going through life just reacting. Oh, this happened. Oh my gosh, you heard about that? Oh, you heard about this one? And moving away from that and moving towards, oh, that actually happened. I knew about that probably a year ago. That's the plan. So how do we do this? Very simple. In order for you to shift your thoughts away from reactiveness towards having foresight, you have to make that a priority. That's number one. Unfortunately, this skill is not taught to most people. We haven't been taught in school to have foresight, to start planning. Now, at some points, they were telling us, okay, if you want to, graduate, you're going to plan for your graduation, start studying, and so on. But this important skill of predicting did not really get that much attention, because we went through our schooling quite passively. And that's why we didn't really develop that skill in a real manner. But today, I'm going to ask you why it is important for you to do that. So right now, ask yourself, why do you want to shift your mindset away from just reacting to things to actually being able to predict them and take action right now to get what you want? Why? Ask yourself that question. Believe it or not, once you ask that question, you get a lot of great answers like, well, because I don't want to get into trouble, because I want to, manage my time well. I don't want to get into, seriously difficult situations. And you just find a lot of answers. Once you have that why, then it becomes a lot easier to make that a priority. But you have to make that, specific commitment. And without that, you can't really make this a priority. So ask yourself why. And to do so, take a look back at your life, the past few years, and all the decisions you made just on a whim, like you just reacted to certain things. Oh my gosh, this happened, I'm going to do this. Oh, that happened, I'm going to do this. And then honestly, how many of those decisions that you made randomly and haphazardly actually ended up being good decisions? Now, with this, look at that situation, you kind of figure out, yeah, maybe that wasn't the best thing. Maybe I should have done it differently. That is, what you need to have that leverage on yourself to start thinking in a very different manner. You shift your thoughts away from reactiveness towards looking at life as a strategist and looking at every step along the way and all the problems that could arise. Because unfortunately, that is not something that is naturally, done by most humans. It doesn't come to us naturally. We're not wired for understanding the future, because for most of revolutionary history, we had to literally survive on a day-to-day basis. And all we cared about was survival at this very moment. No wonder nowadays so many of us have issues with instant gratification. And with the internet and almost everything you want available at a tap, generally that's one of the major issues why a lot of us are struggling with that long-term foresight, and we just go through life reacting to things, to trends, to viral videos, and so on and so forth. So the first thing is to understand your brain is not wired to have that level of foresight for the future, and it cannot fully fathom the future the way we would like to. You see, your brain isn't wired to fathom everything that is going to happen a year from now. Your future self is unknown to you. It's a concept that is simply not fully understandable by your brain. And that's a serious problem. If you cannot fully understand your future self, then how in the world are you going to be able to, have that prediction about the future? You don't need that. That's not a skill that we needed to survive for hundreds of thousands of years. So why have it now? Well, the answer is because the world is extremely complex. And if we wanted to live the way we lived in the Sahara Desert 120,000 years ago, we would not have the same quality of life that we truly desire if we wanted to live according to modern standards. And given the complexity of living in the modern world, those of us who have that foresight, those of us who practice this art of predicting the future, are the ones who have a huge advantage. Now you're saying, well, okay, Dan, I'm convinced. I think it's much better to, go through life not reacting to things, but to see them coming. And that gives us a lot of advantage. We can actually prepare for it. So that's great. But how do we start doing it? Very interesting question. So the first thing that you had to do, of course, was to have that, clear reason to want to be somebody who can predict. Because why did I say that? Because the path towards being able to predict the future is not an easy thing. It's not like one word that says, okay, now you want it, go get it. Here's the problem. The ability to predict the future is a privilege reserved for the masters of their field. Let me repeat that. The ability to predict the future is a privilege reserved for the masters of their fields. This means that in order for you to be able to predict what's going to happen next to your business, to your family, to your relationship, to your health, to your well-being, to your overall contribution, whatever it is, you need to become someone who is well-versed in that regards. You simply cannot predict the trends or the future if you just desire it. You have to make it a priority and then get really good at whatever you're doing. And that's the thing. You're saying, well, Dan, how do you predict the future of a relationship? Well, if you really want to do so, you have to dedicate a lot of time to study and research in the field of psychology, human relationships, HR, and so many things. Only then you can do so. Dan, how can I predict the future of the marketplace? Well, to do so, you have to dedicate a lot of hours in studying and learning about the market. You see, you cannot predict the future by just desiring to do so. That's what every amateur wants to do, which is why they end up just reacting. So once you have that leverage on yourself and you say, I want to be good at predicting the future, then you must make an oath to yourself to take the path of mastery. In order to see the future trends and predict it, you have to be really darn good at what you're doing. You got to become a master at it, which means you cannot predict the future in every aspect of your life, but the aspects in which you are well-versed and a true master. So if you really want to get good at that stuff, you might learn the art of focus. How do you get good at focusing like a laser beam on a specific subject, on a pursuit that will then allow you to be able to, forecast the future? That takes a lot of commitment, which is why I started by asking you, why do you want to do this? Because if you don't know that why, you will most easily and certainly lose that motivation to pursue the attainment of mastery in that field that will then allow you to predict the future. So you got to have that reason why. And once you do, and you commit to your field, that's when you realize that, oh my gosh, I am just seeing the things happening without them even like in a matter of seconds, I can get the trend and I can predict the next 5 moves. Well, that's exactly what happens when you're an expert in any field. Let's say you're an expert in human relationship. By just having one interaction with someone, you can literally predict the next 5 moves in that relationship. If you're an expert in finance, in business, in politics, in sports, it doesn't really matter. If you're a football player, just by being on the field, the moment the quarterback catches the ball, this is going to lead to a touchdown, I know. Or this is going to be it's a total loss. We know that. That's the kind of insight you want to have. And all masters share this ability to be able to look at something and make a very quick, snap decision, or to have a great idea about what that thing is very quickly. Now, one of my favorite authors talks about this issue in the book, The Blink. And we call this blink because literally in a blink of an eye, you actually can make a snap decision or have a full picture of the situation. But that is a privilege only for the masters. So if you truly want to do that, if you truly want to be able to blink and predict the next step, then your job is actually quite simple. It's not easy, but it's very simple. It's about 10,000 hours of dedicated practice and study and immersion in that field. Now you may say well, then, okay, so it's only 10,000 hours. Probably not that much, I guess. It's how long is it going to take me, Daniel, again? Well, if you look at most people, 10,000 hours is what you need approximately about 7 years to accomplish. That's right. You cannot become a master in any field unless you've been an active practitioner for about 7 years. Look at the amount of dedication you might have about something. If you want to be truly good at something, That's the type of commitment and dedication you need in a field. You want to be able to predict the future in any area? Give that area 7 years of your focus and attention, and you'll be able to do so very easily. But most of us, we just find that to be too excruciating, too difficult, too far in the future, so we simply don't bother. And we live life simply reacting to this. It's kind of like, imagine you're living your whole life, you're living in that mental space that looks like a car, and then you drive around and boom, you hit something. You come out of the car. What is that? Oh, that's a new job. Good. You keep driving. Boom, you hit it again. You come out. What is that? Oh, that's a new marriage. Okay, boom. You keep driving. Boom, what's that? Oh my gosh, that's a new. And we repeat that process again and again, just reacting to things, letting them happen to us instead of making them happen. And that's why, if you don't want to live like that, you must become a master driver. And you got to drive in that field that you really pursue for long periods to obtain that high level of mastery. So that's why today, it wasn't so much about the methodologies, because predicting anything requires lots and lots and lots of experience and knowledge, which cannot be taught in 15 minutes or 10 minutes or 5, but rather a pathway for you to be able to pursue mastery in whatever you do so that you yourself can recognize the patterns and predict the future. That's what you got to be learning. And if you really want to make the most of your life, understand that this is only your job. No one can help you predict the future better than you do. No one can help you understand your future better than you do, because your actions, your thoughts, your plans, all will have an impact on it. And if you want to be one of those people, you might as well give yourself the opportunity to invest in yourself and to pursue mastery in whatever is important to you until you acquire what you want in life. All right, guys, that's all the time we have for today. Hope you enjoyed this short talk, and hopefully from today, you're going to commit to becoming a master so you can predict the future and not just react to what's happening today. Have a good one. This was Daniel Mulligan, and this was Beyond the Present Podcast.